Alright, so what if I say that carbon monoxide poisoning increases the affinity of hemoglobin for oxygen? Doesn't it seem a bit weird? Let me explain you how. The main reason is because your carbon monoxide shifts the oxygen dissociation curve to the left. And another important concept that you guys need to know, that we know your hemoglobin exists in two different states. One is your DOT, also known as a T state, the relaxed, also known as the R state. So what happens is that the hemoglobin changes from DOT to relaxed state when the first oxygen binds, and the remaining oxygen binds easily because of cooperative binding. So what is the importance of this DOT and relaxed state is that in your DOT state, the hemoglobin is going to be in a closed state, and there's going to be a decrease in the affinity for oxygen. So what does this mean? There's going to be an easy release of oxygen at the tissue level. On the opposite end, it's going to be the relaxed is going to be open, and there's going to be more affinity for oxygen, so it helps with easy loading of oxygen at lungs. So more towards the tissue, you're going to be having DOT state of the hemoglobin, and at the lungs you're going to be having the relaxed state of the hemoglobin. And we all know in carbon monoxide poisoning, there's going to be competition between carbon monoxide and oxygen, which is going to be fighting for the heme ion binding site. And we all know as a fact that your carbon monoxide actually binds about 200 to 250 times more tightly than oxygen. So from what it's supposed to look like here, in the case of carbon monoxide poisoning, this is how it looks. Most of the sites are going to be occupied by carbon monoxide, and there's going to be fewer sites for oxygen that is going to be left. And this is not the only disadvantage. On top of that, this entire hemoglobin is now going to be locked in the relaxed state. So why is this bad? We all know that only when the hemoglobin is in the DOT state, it can release oxygen at the tissue, and the tissue can utilize oxygen. When your hemoglobin is going to be in the relaxed state, there's going to be increased affinity for oxygen. So the only poor little oxygen that is still in the hemoglobin cannot be released out. So oxygen cannot be released, and there's going to be increase in affinity of hemoglobin for oxygen. So in the case of carbon monoxide poisoning, there is not only a case where there's going to be decrease in the oxygen that's going to be carried by the hemoglobin, but on top of that, that oxygen that is present also cannot be released at the tissue for utilization. So this is why carbon monoxide is very deadly, and this also explains why there's going to be increase in affinity of hemoglobin for oxygen. This is because your carbon monoxide is going to be locking your hemoglobin in the relaxed state.